On the cold night of November 13th, 1974, in the quiet town of Amityville, New York, a brutal crime unfolded within the DeFeo household. Ronald DeFeo Jr., in a fit of madness, systematically murdered his entire family while they slept, shooting them in their beds. The gruesome details of the massacre sent shockwaves through the community, but the full weight of the horror that clung to 112 Ocean Avenue would only be realized months later when the Lutz family moved in. A year after the murders, George and Kathy Lutz, along with their 3 children, purchased the DeFeo house at a seemingly too-good-to-be-true price. Despite the home's dark history, the family was eager to start fresh. They arrived on a crisp December afternoon, their belongings packed with excitement and hope. The house itself was a sprawling Dutch colonial, complete with a boathouse and a picturesque view of the river. Yet, from the moment they set foot inside, an unshakable unease settled over them, creeping into the very marrow of their bones. Kathy had always been intuitive, and as she wandered the house, an unnatural chill settled over her skin. She hesitated at the threshold of the second-floor bedroom, the very room where the DeFeo murders had taken place. Something about the air inside was wrong, thick with an oppressive weight that made her stomach turn. George, ever the skeptic, dismissed her concerns with a chuckle, but his laughter felt forced. At Kathy's request, the family invited Father Mancuso, a priest, to bless the house. As he sprinkled holy water in one of the upstairs rooms, an unseen force lashed out. A guttural voice whispered, "Get out!" The priest staggered back, gripped by an inexplicable nausea. Beads of sweat broke out on his forehead, though the room was freezing. His hands trembled as he crossed himself, feeling the presence of something ancient and unspeakable pressing against him. He rushed out of the house, warning the Lutzes to stay away from the second-floor room, once occupied by Ronald DeFeo Jr. At first, the disturbances were subtle, almost ignorable. But then George began waking at 3:15 a.m. every night, the exact time of the DeFeo murders. He told himself it was coincidence, yet he could feel something watching him from the darkness. The cold inside the house deepened, unnatural and biting. No matter how many logs he threw onto the fire, the chill remained, seeping into his skin, into his bones. He became obsessed with the flames, staring into them for hours, as though searching for something hidden within the embers. Kathy suffered violent nightmares, waking up drenched in sweat, the sensation of unseen hands crawling over her body lingering long after she opened her eyes. The children began talking to someone, or something that wasn't there. Their youngest, Missy, spoke of a sinister, red-eyed pig named Jody, who visited her at night. She described Jody with unsettling detail. Glowing eyes, a deep voice, a terrible grin. One night, Kathy found her daughter standing at the window, murmuring to the darkness. When she looked outside, 2 gleaming red eyes stared back at her. Objects moved on their own. Doors slammed without cause. The family dog, Harry, whimpered at unseen forces, scratching desperately at the back door as if something lurked beyond it. Kathy smelled something rotten, a thick, putrid stench that seemed to follow her, clinging to her clothes, her hair. The walls began to ooze a dark, viscous slime. The air in the house felt heavier each day, pressing down on them, making it harder to think, harder to breathe. George had always been a rational man, but the house was unraveling him. He became withdrawn, irritable, his once warm eyes turning hollow, vacant. He barely ate, barely spoke. Kathy would find him outside in the dead of night, standing by the boathouse, staring into the black water. She would call his name, and for a long, terrible moment he wouldn't respond. Then, slowly, he would turn to her, his expression blank, as though he didn't recognize her. One evening, while exploring the basement, George discovered a hidden room. The walls were painted blood red, and the air was suffocating. It smelled of old death. The family dog refused to enter, growling at the darkness beyond. As George stepped inside, his mind pulsed with something foreign, something invasive. He felt the weight of 100 whispers pressing into his skull, twisting through his thoughts. A deep, guttural growl rumbled from the shadows, sending him scrambling back up the stairs, his breath ragged, his heart pounding like a war drum. Kathy awoke one night to find herself levitating above the bed, her body weightless, her limbs paralyzed. A force gripped her, holding her suspended in the air. When she was thrown violently against the mattress, she screamed, but her voice felt swallowed by the walls. The children shrieked from their rooms as their beds shook uncontrollably. The house groaned, the very foundation seeming to shift beneath them. George's mind fractured further. He would catch glimpses of himself in the mirror, only it wasn't his reflection. It was something else, something twisted, its eyes sunken, its mouth curled into a cruel smirk. He began to hear whispers urging him, coaxing him, pushing him toward thoughts he never imagined he could have. One night, he stood over Kathy, an axe in his hands. He didn't remember grabbing it. He didn't know how long he had been standing there, watching her sleep. On the 28th night, the terror reached its peak. A chorus of screams filled the house, unseen voices wailing in agony. Doors exploded from their hinges. Kathy felt an unseen force clutch her throat, strangling her as an invisible pressure crushed her chest. George fought to reach her, the walls seeming to close in. The house wanted them, needed them. It would never let them go. But they ran, fled into the freezing night, leaving everything behind. The moment they crossed the threshold, the house fell eerily silent. They never returned. Investigators who later explored the house uncovered chilling evidence of its dark presence. Photographs captured shadowy figures. Temperature drops and unexplained noises plagued even the bravest researchers. The Lutz family's story spread like wildfire, leading to books, films, and countless theories about what truly transpired within 112 Ocean Avenue. Was it a haunting, a malevolent force tied to the DeFeo murders, or the unraveling minds of a family pushed to the brink? The Amityville Horror remains one of the most infamous hauntings in history, its mysteries still unsolved, its horrors lingering in whispered legends. Even today, the house stands, its windows watching, its past refusing to be buried.